Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to my channel, Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my sewing plans for this spring. Spring is approaching and I am very excited about it. It is really my favorite season. I absolutely love the spring. I do appreciate the warmer weather coming, absolutely, but I also just really love getting those longer daylight hours, noticing all the blossoms starting to form, new leaves on the trees. It is my season. I absolutely love it, but it can actually be a tricky season to sew for because depending on where you are in the world, certainly where I live, there are some pretty cold days as well as the warm days, and you kind of flip-flop between the two. It's hard to feel prepared for everything. So my intention for my spring sewing plans is to have things that will work for both the colder days and for the warmer days. And I've got 4 projects I'm going to share with you. 2 of them are actually a matching set that go together. This is not an exclusive list of everything I will be making in the season, but it's some highlights of the things that I'm excited about that I want to share with you. There are definitely some themes with the types of fabrics and the style of clothes that I'm going to be making, and I'm excited to share them with you. The first plan I want to talk about is the Joni Dress by Pattern Scout. This one is their newest pattern, came out I think just over a month ago. Now I should say that I didn't actually buy this pattern. One of my viewers, Lizzle by Design, had messaged me over on Instagram because she pattern tested for this one. And when you pattern test, you were apparently given a voucher so that you could give a copy of the pattern to someone that you chose. She thought I would really like the style and the design. She was absolutely right. So she gave that to me for free and I am so grateful. I think that was so thoughtful and really sweet, and thank you again for doing that. But I do want to get on and make this dress because I think it is gorgeous. So there is a dress and a blouse version. I'm interested in the dress version. There's also a short cap sleeve or a long sleeve. I want to go for the long sleeve. So just to show you the general design of this dress, it has a really beautiful full skirt just above the knee. So it's a shorter skirt, which I feel like works well with the proportions with the shape of the dress. The long sleeve that I really love has a really beautiful big bishop sleeve with some shirring gathering at the wrist, which I think is always a really beautiful detail. There's a lot of shirring details on this dress, which I really do like. The key feature I think of this one is the really beautiful square neckline. I love a square neckline. I think it's a good shape for my body. The way that you create this shape of this one, there's raglan sleeves and then there's a tie at the front of it. And something I really love is that you can choose to tie the tie as tight or as loose as you want, which will high and increase and lower the neckline, which I think is really clever. So that means that if you want to have something that's maybe a little bit sexier, you can wear it a bit lower. But if you're maybe going to want to be a little bit more covered just for your own style or depending where you're going, you can tie it a bit tighter and have it a bit higher. Really love this detail. I feel like in general it's a really beautiful shape. I love the fitting over the bust and the waist. The way that you get that again is from shirring. So at the front there are a couple of rows of shirring elastic just under the bust line. If you leave it just there, you get like an empire waistline style, but there's also an option to have the shirring at the waistline as well at the front, which I really like. For me, that's more of the shape that I would want to go for. And then the back is covered in rows of shirring, which is what cinches it in, keeps the shape really nice, but also means that it's easy to take on and off. You don't need any zippers, you don't need any buttons. I think this is going to be such an easy thing to throw on. I know whenever I have anything that's made with shirring, it's just a really easy, like breezy thing to just throw on and go out. You don't have to think about it. I suspect I will be wearing this dress a lot once I make it. I think it'll be great for work, but it'll also be great for going out. You could dress it up, you could dress it down. I think it's a really beautiful style. I love that it comes with different bust cup sizes because Pattern Scout patterns generally do, and I'm a big fan of that. So I really was excited to try this dress out because I'm actually considering it for my Christmas dress. I know it's super early. If you did see my January makes video, I have bought some velvet, silk velvet that I'm planning to make a dress out of for Christmas. And what I want to do in the year running up to that is to try out some different patterns that I think could work for it. Now I would have to obviously do some tests with the velvet and see how the shirring works. It may or may not be the one I go for, but I feel like it's a really lovely shape and I feel like theoretically it could work really well. But for now, I've got a really lovely viscose lawn fabric that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. This is it. I'll show you the colors up close first. It was actually shown by Harriet on a YouTube video and I absolutely fell in love with the colors. So it's got this lovely rust background, but you have these really pretty pink and blue flowers on it. I think this is very much my kind of color, so I was immediately drawn to it. Being a viscose lawn fabric, it is really lightweight, it is beautifully drapey, it's definitely got really wonderful movement, it's super soft against the skin as well. I think this is going to be such a wonderful one to wear. I imagine myself reaching for it again and again through various seasons. With the long sleeve, I think it's going to be a really great one when it's a little bit chillier with some boots and some tights, but I think I could also wear this one with some sandals in the summer and feel ready for some cooler evenings as well. I think this is going to be a good wardrobe staple, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. Keeping on the shirring theme, I made a tutorial a couple of years ago for the So Frugal Challenge about how to make a jumpsuit with a shirred bodice by using any woven trouser. So I used a free one at the time, the cast wide leg trousers from fabricstore.com. The jumpsuit that I made, I really do love that jumpsuit, but it is just a tiny bit tight in the hip. I think this pattern just runs a little bit small, and I wish that I had sized up. But I do want to make another version of this, but I'm not necessarily going to stick with the pattern that I didn't love. What I do want to do is make a jumpsuit using a pair of trousers that I've been making that I know I really like, which is the Pomona Pants by Anna Allen. These are a wide leg woven trouser, high-waisted. I really love the shape on me. I've made shorts and I've made trousers. Really do love generally the fit of it. I feel like this one has enough room to get on and off over the hip without having too much gathering at the back, which is unusual. So I feel like I'm going to stick with a pattern that I know that I like, and I know that it's high-waisted and I want the shirring to cover over that area. I want my shirring to go really kind of just about the high hip, and then it can fan out with the rest of the trouser. Now, one of the things I'm going to do a little bit differently with this, rather than just following the tutorial that I explained, is I want to see if I can make it fit better around the bust area. Now, somebody had actually asked me, I've had a couple of people ask me, if you have a fuller bust, how can you make this type of pattern work for you? Because if you do have a fuller bust, you will know if you wear anything with a shirred bodice, it will necessarily be shorter at the front than at the back. So I made a dress last year with a shirred bodice. It is definitely shorter at the front than the back. Do I care? Not particularly. I've worn shirred dresses for my life, throughout my life, and this has always been a problem for me. I don't really worry about it, and I think it's potentially just kind of cute anyway as it is. However, it seemed like an interesting challenge, and I have actually had shirred bodice dresses that had darts, and I felt like that would be kind of fun to play around with. So I have two ways I want to try and see if I can make it fit better over the bust. So one is by adding some darts. So the idea is that I will make the front panel and the back panel separately before I sew them together. But what I will do is I will add some bust darts, and I've got a little, I would do like an illustration, but basically this is some lined paper. So the idea is that you do your rows of shirring first. So you're gonna do the shirring, then you're gonna do the darts. So you do your rows of shirring, then you create your darts, and then you will kind of just fold it down at the back as you normally would do. With the dart, you can see I folded that down. And then you will see there's a bit of a shape to the shirring. You can see there's obviously some room for a bust. The lines of shirring will pinch together. Now, because I've had this happen on a dress before, I don't think it's going to be too bulky. I don't think it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm curious to see how it works. I'm going to have to play around with that. The other thing I was wondering is, like, often when you have something without darts, you need to add essentially it's some length. The shirring will stretch widthwise over the bust. It's the length that we have the difficulty, because there's a longer distance from here to the bottom as there is in the back where there's no curve. So what I do want to try is actually, if I extended the top section at the top of the bodice and then curved it down, and then I had my straight rows of shirring up to the waist, and then I had some slightly ever increasing arches that were going to be closer together at the sides, but still hopefully the same spacing at the top and sort of throughout the center. There will be more shirring elastic just under the arm, so it will be a little bit more bunchy there. So basically, I'm curious about which of these two options would A, work better, and B, be more comfortable. So if I have enough of this fabric, I'm going to actually try and do both. If I don't have enough of this fabric, I think I'll just have to do it on some scrap, because I do want to know, and I will share my results when I do put that one together. The fabric that I'm planning to use this time around is this viscose fabric. So again, it's a nice red color. This is more of a tomatoey red. Again, I think a really good color for me, and it's got some beautiful little daisies there, which I feel like seems appropriate for the spring season. They're a fairly large scale, so I felt like You can kind of argue either way with shirring. You know that it's going to get bunched up and it may or may not work well, but I think it will be really pretty either way. I think it will work well with a solid or with a print. I'm curious to see how this jumpsuit works with this fabric, and I'm excited to see how my theory works out. So this is just a standard viscose fabric. It's slightly weightier than the viscose lawn that I showed you guys a little while ago, but being viscose, it is definitely still really nice and drapey. I would say this one's probably a little bit more bouncy, being a little bit heavier, and I think it's going to be a really fun one to wear in that jumpsuit. If I can get that jumpsuit fitting better than I had my last one, I feel like I will just want to wear it and move around, float around with my lovely wide leg trousers. It's such a flattering shape. It's such a beautiful overall concept, and I'm excited to see how I can make it work with a fuller bust. If you guys have ideas of other things that I can do to make it fit better in the bust, or if you think one way or the other is going to be the go-to, let me know in the comments down below. I am curious to know, anyone who's got experience with this kind of thing, I'm curious to pick your brain, but I think I'm probably going to play around with both options either way, just because you never know, I might prefer something different from what somebody else does, and I'm looking forward to sharing the results with you. That fabric came from the Fabric Godmother, and the name of the fabric is Teresa Viscose. It's spelled without an H, and I have an H, so it's not exactly my name, but I never see my name in fabrics or in patterns, so I kind of had to get it. Now, my plans for my matching set very much come from the fabric. I'm usually somebody who will have an idea, figure out what pattern I want to use, and then find the appropriate fabric. But occasionally there's a fabric that just calls out to me and I have to get it and I have to use it and sew it up. This is definitely one of those examples. So this fabric came from the Sew Me Sunshine open day. So Harriet, the owner, had posted, I want to say like a day or two before the open day, that they'd gotten some new viscose linen slub fabrics in, viscose linen noil. It is very much probably my favorite fabric. It's really difficult to pick favorites. It is up there though. Definitely one of my favorite kinds of fabrics. And they had it in a whole range of colors, including colors they'd never had it in before. And the one that I absolutely had to get is this one. So this is such a gorgeous raspberry pink color. I absolutely love this color. I have been gravitating towards this color for sure. And so I know from other things in my wardrobe that this will match well with a lot of the other things that I have. I think it's a beautiful color for me, but it just makes me really happy. And this fabric, one of the reasons I really love it is just you can see that movement, that bounce. So it's definitely a heavier weight fabric than other linens or other viscoses. The linen element makes it definitely heavier than the other two viscoses that I've shown you, but it also has the texture of the linen there. So hopefully you can see it has that beautiful slubbiness to it, which I absolutely love. It's also, because of the viscose content, it doesn't wrinkle and crease anywhere near as much as linen usually does. And it's also super cooling to the skin. I will say, to touch this, it feels cool against my skin, definitely, compared to the other ones. And I know because it's got a little bit more weight to it, I can also wear it when it's on the chillier side, not in the freezing cold winters, but when it's a little bit chillier, it's absolutely fine because it's a bit thicker. But when it's hot, because it's linen and it's viscose, really breathable fabrics, it feels really comfortable. So it really is a great one for all of the spring to autumn, really, as far as I'm concerned. So I think this is a good one for me to go for lots of things. I consider dresses and jumpsuits because I want to drape my body in this fabric as much as I possibly can. However, I thought if I made a two-piece matching set, I can wear it all as one, but I also then have the options of wearing the top and the bottoms with other things. So that's what I decided to go for. Now for the bottoms, I am going for the Peppermint Pocket Skirt designed by Paper Theory. I have raved about this skirt more than I can even remember. I made this skirt for the Sew Frugal Challenge last year and I have worn the heck out of it. I love this skirt and I am kind of amazed that it's taken me till now to make another version. As soon as I made it, I was like, I want to make a million more, but then there's always other projects and I just made it and I didn't get around to it. I'm making another Peppermint Pocket Skirt because I know it is a wardrobe staple for me. I will wear it all the time. The other one I made was green. This one is pink, so that way they will probably go with all the things that the opposite doesn't go with, which means I can pretty much wear a Peppermint Pocket Skirt whenever I want to, which is a delight. This is a really wonderful skirt pattern. It's a free one. You can choose to pay, so they give you options on the website, but it is a really wonderful, just simple skirt. I would say it's an elastic waist skirt, so it's really easy for fitting. The only thing I will say, the key detail, the design detail of this is the pockets. as the name suggests. So it has these really big statement pockets. I think the placement of the pockets is quite key as far as how well it's going to look on your body. Now, I myself wanted this to go up to my natural waist, which is higher than a lot of patterns would estimate. So what I did is I took the piece for where the pocket was going to attach. I folded down the seam allowance for the elastic, and then I held it against my body to see, okay, well, I want this pocket to hit below the fullest part of my hips because I don't want to add any volume at the hip area. So I did have to just lower the pocket a little bit to do that. Because it also droops out, the idea of this pocket is that it droops out. It does hang a bit, and when you make this skirt, the first thing you make is the pocket. And if you don't like the way it's hanging, you just pull it a little bit more taut, so you don't line it up where it's meant to line up. You take the bottom section of the pocket and you just pull it out a little bit. So I ended up trimming off 1/2 inch of each side just to make it not quite so drapey and droopy, because this fabric is quite heavy. I feel like it wasn't falling quite right. So definitely play around with the pocket placement, play around with how droopy you want the pocket to be. But basically, I want to do exactly what I did last time because I love it. It was also a viscose linen slub fabric, so it's the exact same fabric, so I know it's going to work well for me. So I'm super excited to get that one sewn up. And then as far as the top to match, I'm going to make the Brea Tee by Halfmoon Atelier. So that is the top that I'm wearing right now. It's a really simple design. I really love this top. I've made loads of versions of it. There's actually 2 options that you can do. One is intended to be for woven, the other for knits, but you can mix and match however you want. This is the woven version that I'm making, and this is the one that I'm wearing, both the same. The difference with the knit version is there's actually a binding that goes around the armhole, over the sleeve, and into the neck binding. I think it's a really great pattern. I love both versions. I love the knit versions. It is my go-to for any kind of fun, funky, quirky jersey fabrics. I think it is just super fun for that. But I do also really love the woven version. So it's just got a grown-on sleeve. There's no bust dart, so it's really another one, like quite a simple construction, I would say. I can whip this one up in probably, you know, 1/2 hour, maybe an hour if I'm including the cutting out time. But it's a really quick one to make for me because I've made it before. The other thing I really love about it is it has multiple bust cup options. So it has a B sewing cup and a D sewing cup option. So if you're one of those two, you can pick either one. I think it has a pretty decent size range as well. But on the whole, I know that this one is one that I wear all the time. So the version that I'm wearing now, I know it's a pink top, but it's a different pink top. And I can tell you, I would love to have another version of this top in my wardrobe. And I think having this top in this fabric tucked into that skirt will look like a really cute faux dress. So I think that's going to be a really fun way to wear it. But then, as I said, I also have the option of wearing them both with other things as well. So I feel like both of those will be wardrobe staples, and I think it's going to be a really fun combination to wear all at once. I love making my seasonal sewing plans videos because I feel like it's a right balance for me of making sure that I keep on top of the priorities, that I don't get too distracted by other things coming in, and I know what I want to prioritize for the season, but I'm not necessarily going too far ahead that I'm committing myself to things that I might just change my mind about. So I do feel like in general it works well for me. I have recently just finished the final things for my winter sewing plans, so you will see anything you haven't seen already in my makes videos will be coming out in February. I am looking forward to getting all these things sewn up, maybe before the spring, some of them, but if not, throughout the spring, and I will of course be sharing them with you every month as I go. I would love to hear if there's any of those that you are particularly excited about seeing, any that you have any thoughts on, experience on. I always appreciate that as well, so please leave those down in the comments below. I will be making another plans video soon for the Sew Frugal, but it's going to be definitely a bit different from the type of plans that I'm making today. Please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you want to see any of my upcoming videos. Do give me a like if you enjoyed the video. It helps YouTube to suggest similar videos and to help other people find my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!